Welcome back. Well, should you buy a home in India or rent it? ANAROCK research shows that rental values in key micro markets of the top 7 cities in India have gone up by 72% between 2021 to end of first half of 2024. However, capital values saw lower growth. In key markets in Bengaluru, Pune, Kolkata and Chennai, average residential rental values rose more than the capital values. However, in areas of NCR, Mumbai metropolitan region and Hyderabad, those regions saw the reverse trend. To discuss more on this, we are now joined by Anuj Puri, the chairman at ANAROCK Property Consultants, to shed light on what's really happening in these micro markets and should one rent or buy. Anuj, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in today. Well, what's causing this surge in rentals? Almost 72%. That's a big hike. First, tell us the reason why that's happening and which are the major geographies where we are seeing this phenomenon.
Good morning, Sonal. Always a pleasure to be on your show. And, it is very evident the way the rental markets have surged over the last, I would say, 2.5 years, and now overtaken the capital values. And as you rightly pointed out, cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, where the rentals have really pushed up far greater than capital values. I think there are sort of 4 or 5 trends why this is happening is, one is clearly that the ITS folks are being asked to come back to the office. And, clearly from the perspective of calling these guys back, they are going and, taking it on rent. Second, we are starting to see many expats now coming back and many sort of high income professionals, getting back to work where they are wanting to take it on rental. I think the biggest thing is that there aren't those many ready to move in apartments for sale as compared to rentals. And, people are wanting to live in good locations, in premium buildings. They're making good salaries, as a result of which they want to live more comfortably. And because they're not being able to find anything that is ready to move in, to buy, they are renting it out. And that's really pushing the rentals up.
Anuj, what you just mentioned makes a lot of sense, especially, in an ITS dominated city like Bangalore or maybe even Hyderabad. When it comes to Bombay, you're also seeing quite a lot of redevelopment activity happening. And at least during the time of the redevelopment, we understand that a lot of existing homeowners are looking to places on rent. So the spike in rent that you see at that time, do you think that can sustain, or do you think a couple of years down the line, when the redevelopment surge ends, you will see rental rates coming back low?
Hi, Vivek. So, Bombay is a little different to the rest of the markets. The trend that we are seeing on the rental growth is largely where ITS is dominated, as I said, is, Pune, Bangalore, and for that matter, even Calcutta, where we are starting to see a lot of the IT companies going into Rajarhat. I think Bombay, you're right. Much of what we are seeing in the suburbs and South Bombay on the rental activity is a push coming in from the redevelopment. But I must say is that the overall impact is less than 5% of the people who are getting displaced due to the redevelopment of the societies and taking it on rent. So I dare say, Vivek, that that is a criteria which is really in any meaningful way pushing up the rentals. I do agree that it adds to it, but the larger perspective remains is that people are getting back to work. They were there back in their tier 2, tier 3 hometowns. Most of the corporates are asking at least 2 or 3 days in a week for them to come back to the office and operate, as a result of which, majority of these guys are now being forced to come back to their tier 1 city and, rent it out.
Who would know that coming back to office would prove to be costlier after a while, right? But Anuj, do you think this would be a sustained trend? Rentals have shot up now. That's a near-term demand push that we've seen. But do you think that phenomenon could continue? And if it does, what does a person who wants to rent do? They should just go ahead and buy. Is there some math to it?
I think there are 4 or 5 things, because rent versus buy is a big decision. It's always nice if you own your own home, but it does come with some challenges. The biggest one is the affordability. That whether you have that kind of capital to be able to put together in buying a home. Second is flexibility. Many of these professionals do move cities, do move jobs, and hence they're not really wanting to buy a home. So, if you are one of those professionals who is really not sure whether you want to stay in the same city, then I would say flexibility should be looked at it. From a taxation perspective as well is, many times it's better to take it on rent because the full HRA is really allowed, and you don't get that flexibility in if you are owning a home. But I must say, Sonal, the biggest decision really rests on wealth creation. Most of the Indians, and rightfully so, we've seen in the past as well, are looking at that aspect and wanting to buy. So clearly, we've seen in the last 3-4 years as well, through the pandemic, that the wealth creation on the residential side has been very stark. And hence, we're seeing many of the younger professionals, the average age of home buying, say about 20 years ago, was in the mid 40s. It's come down to early 30s. So clearly, the young professionals are saying is, this may be another way of creating wealth and also have stability in life. And that's where I think is the decision is, do you want that, or do you want the flexibility? Depending on that, and depending on whether you have the money to be able to put through, the rent versus buy options can be worked out.
Of course, it would depend on each buyer's or the person who's renting's financial situation and other aspects of life as well. Anuj, last question before we let you go. I request you to keep it short. I wanted to understand whether the capital appreciation versus rental appreciation debate in major cities like metros like Bengaluru, Mumbai, where do you see more push coming? Would it be rentals or housing prices? Is there some trend which is suggesting that this could continue, the appreciation across any form of housing?
So my thought is that the capital values will appreciate, but they will appreciate now in single digit. We have seen double digit capital appreciation over the last 4 years. My guess is that going forward, it will be single digit appreciation. So at some stage, you will start to see is rentals stabilizing and not increasing, and capital values only increasing by a single digit percentage to match both of them.
Okay, all right. Anuj, thank you so much for joining in today. So that is a very interesting debate to have with no clear answer, but it's good to have that debate. Thank you so much for joining in with all those insights as to what's happening to rentals right now, they're surging and how, and with the home prices as well. But Vivek, with